Stephen Mosley.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. We are now 3 years into the coalition government and we have got much that we can be proud of. Health reform, welfare reform, police reform, education reform. This has been one of the most radical governments in a generation, but there is still much to do. And it is not just about ensuring that our country is on the right economic track. The British people must know that this government is on their side. The recent local elections have shown that there is a sizable minority who are disaffected, disillusioned and dismayed by politicians and by political parties. The Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, they have all been bombarded with advice, often from their own backbenchers. And often, surprise, surprise, the advice seems to be from the said backbenchers that the only way that you can re-engage the trust of the electorate is by taking over their pet project. Mr. Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, my own advice to my own party leader would be that there is no magic bullet to win over the electorate. Voters are cynical and they're fed up of political spin. They will spot a phony a mile off. So be yourself, be natural, don't pretend to be something you're not, and be proud of what we have achieved. It can sometimes be difficult in a coalition. Compromises do need to be made. Sometimes our friends in the Liberal Democrat Party have had to make compromises, and sometimes the Conservatives. But at long last, Britain is moving in the right direction again, and I would urge the government to hold their nerve, to do what they believe to be right, to ignore the siren voices calling for a change of direction. Just because some in this chamber shout very loudly, it does not mean they are right, and it often does not mean that they have the support of the majority of their colleagues. Stay calm, because the foundations of future prosperity have been laid down over the past 3 years. But we must not be complacent, and the measures announced in the Queen's speech are another step on the journey to national recovery. And I'm particularly pleased that this Queen's speech has tackled head-on 2 tricky problems that were both classified as too difficult to touch by the last government. They both involve helping people in their old age, and that is reform of social care and reform of pensions. Firstly, on pensions, 20 years ago, Britain had the best pensions provision in Europe, and our pension savings were the envy of the world. Millions of workers were signed up to excellent final salary pension schemes. Schemes were in surplus, and workers could look forward to retirement with a good inflation-proof income. But all of that changed in 1997. The scrapping of advanced corporation tax relief has blown a massive hole in the value of pension schemes. Costing over £5 billion a year, it has now cost pension schemes over £100 billion, and the average worker has lost around £100,000 each. And Labour's raid on pensions was just one nail in the coffin of final salary pension schemes. People are, of course, living much longer. And the global recession, the turmoil in the Eurozone, and our own massive deficit have not helped matters, resulting in interest rates at historic lows, meaning that pensioners are getting less income from their savings. Madam Deputy Speaker, reform is urgently needed, and that's why I warmly welcome the inclusion of the Pensions Bill within the Queen's speech and the introduction of the single-tier pension. To ensure that future pensions remain affordable, people will have to work a year or 2 longer. So the bill will bring forward the increase in the state retirement age, and it will introduce a 5-yearly independent review to make sure that the state pension remains sustainable. The current pension system is also complex and confusing. It is almost impossible to work out how much you will receive. And under the new single-tier pension, provided people have made 35 years of national insurance contributions, they will qualify for the full pension of £144 a week. Millions of future pensioners will be removed from poverty, and people who have saved for retirement will be able to enjoy the full benefit of their savings. The proposals will also address the inequalities in the current pension system. It will support women who have taken time out to raise a family. It will support low earners, And for the self-employed, their national insurance contributions will count towards a pension for the first time. Future generations will also benefit from the option of a workplace pension as well, with a contribution from both their employer and the government. The Pensions Bill will provide a clear, straightforward and fair pension for all, and one which will be secure as we face an ever-ageing population. Another big worry for people as they get older is who will look after them in their old age, and the cost of care can be astronomical, and for many, the fear of running out of money or being forced to sell your home to pay care charges can cause huge concern. It is only natural for people to want to leave something behind for their children and their grandchildren, and it is only natural that after a lifetime of working hard and paying taxes, that people want and expect the government to be there to help. I therefore warmly welcome the announcement of the Social Care Bill and the reforms to the way long-term care is to be funded. A cap on social care costs will help to ensure that the elderly do not have to sell their homes to meet their care bills, and help ensure that old people do not feel that they are a burden on others as their lives draw to a close. The bill will also make a great deal many other improvements to the social care system, such as standardised thresholds for determining whether individuals are eligible support from a local authority. It will include a duty on councils to inform residents about care provision, and it will also include a new right for carers to receive more support. For too long, governments have found the problems around social care too difficult to tackle and have consequently tried to ignore them. I am proud that this government is tackling the problem head-on and proposing a long-term solution which will benefit millions. Madam Deputy Speaker, I do warmly welcome the government's programme outlined in the Queen's speech. We have begun the long and hard process of restoring our nation's finances to order, and now we must turn to strengthening our society. We have achieved a massive amount in the past two sessions of this Parliament, but there is still a great deal more that needs to be done, and this year's Queen's speech is an excellent step in the right direction.
Dan Jarvis.